if you can hear me, so I know this thing's working properly. Okay, that's good. So I'm Dom and I'll be your driver. It is a bit past 12 now, but we'll be leaving now. We'll be getting back here about 20 to 25 past 12. I'm sure you'll be well behaved, but I've just got a bit of safety stuff to read out. So it is a bit bumpy at times, so please remain seated while we're driving. Keep your arms, legs, heads, bags or children, all that sort of things inside the carriages while we're moving. If you've got any children on laps, that sort of thing, I'm not planning an emergency brake, but if I do, you will know it's very sharp. So do hold on to them tight, please. If you do need to stop for any reason, there's an emergency stop button on your left. So get someone to ring that and I will pull over. Lastly, if you've got any food or drink, please refrain from eating while we're going, as if we go over a bump, it will go everywhere. Apart from that, just about to leave, so I'll be giving you some facts as we're driving, and enjoy the trip. So the first enclosure on the left is our African wild ass and ostrich enclosure. So right on the left there, you can see our African wild ass. There our girl, the boy is separate. So the young one is called Kaylin. That means 25 in Swahili, I've been told. That's because she's the 25th wild ass born at Marwell Zoo, which doesn't sound like a huge number, but there's only 200 of them left in the wild, so that is the equivalent of 10% of the wild population born here at the zoo.
I am.
So Marwell's doing a lot for their conservation. The ostriches are also out on the left. I'm sorry if anyone's just seen that one doing its nasty business. They're the world's largest bird. They can run at 43 miles an hour, or about 70 kilometers an hour. And they've got eyeballs the size of oranges, so that is 7 centimeters across. They're very big eyes. They take up about 40% of their head, which means there isn't much room for a brain. That does apply for most birds, including things like owls, so I'm afraid the phrase wise old owl does not hold up very well, because most of their head is eyeballs. Speaking of birds, on the right we have Jester and Joker, our two southern caracaras. They do sit up in the trees, but like the ostriches, they like to run around on the ground. That's because one of their main food sources is things like snakes. So they will run, catch up to them, and they've got a very powerful kick which they will use to knock us out before they eat it. So if you do get kicked by one of them, I've been told it does hurt a lot. The next enclosure is our bush dogs. So we have 4 of them. Amelia, one of the girls, has a bit of an icky ear that's been operated in. None of them will go outside. So they're currently all curled up in a big ball in their house. When they come out, they do like to run in a line. They're quite funny creatures. We're just passing our herd of bantang on the left at the moment. You can see our big boy bantang with the horns. All of the girls in there are all his girlfriends and all of the kids are all his children. So he's one of the Marwell busy boys. One of the main problems that animals have in the wild as far as mating is just not being able to find each other very often. That problem is eliminated in the zoo. So anything that lives in big herds like that will be in breeding mode 365 days a year. So it's never a quiet day at a zoo. So we're just passing our tropical house on the right. If you haven't been in there, definitely one of the highlights. I'm not just saying that because it's where I hang out most of the time. Some of the best things to see in there are the Slater's crown pigeons, which are nesting at the moment, the world's second biggest pigeon species, and of course Santos, our two-toed sloth. The biggest of the 6 species. They look very similar to a monkey, but actually closely related to anteaters, despite not looking anything like them at all. There's always someone in there to point him out, so if you do go in looking for him, please find the person in green, and we're always willing to help you spot this very elusive creature. Now going past our herd of Hartman's mountain zebras. Not looking very clean, that's because they like a dust bath in that hole in the ground you can see there. You can tell them apart from the other species of zebra at the zoo thanks to their dewlap. That's a very big, saggy bit of skin hanging from their neck. While we're passing the zebras, when we go past this tree, give them another look. Okay, actually ignore that, because on the left at the moment you can see our red panda climbing in the tree. So that's Tashi, our red panda. If you haven't seen her in this drive-by, do give her another look later on. She's moving around the very left of the enclosure. But yes, back to zebras. Get a good look at them now, especially around the bottom area. Because I'm going to ask a question about zebras, not just their bottoms, the whole animal. Are zebras black with white stripes or white with black stripes? It's not a trick question, there really is an answer. So give them a good look, and a bit later on in the tour I will give you the answer to that question. So we've also just passed our wallaby walkthrough. We have two species of wallaby in there, the Palmer wallaby, the smallest, and the redneck wallaby, one of the biggest species. The boys of the redneck wallabies can weigh 26 kilograms despite their small size, so they're very tubby animals. Despite that bulk, they can raise their entire body off the ground using just their tails, which they do when they're in a fighting mood, which doesn't happen very often. Occasionally they are given food or that sort of thing, and it's quite funny watching these cute little tubby creatures up on their tails. While we have that view of the zebras, you might have seen Marwell Hall in the background. That's the centrepiece of the zoo. It's mostly offices now, although the upper floors are still originating from the original decor all the way back in 1815 when the new house was built. It was bought in 1972 by John Knowles, our former CEO, and he founded the zoo on the land around at that time. So there's been a building on the site of Marwell Hall for well over 1,000 years. The hall, as we know, as I said, was built around 200 years ago. Before that there was a medieval hall which dated all the way back from the 1500s. And we have some royal connections to the medieval hall. It was the brief living space and the marriage site of Henry VIII in 1536 to his third wife, Joan Seymour. So I guess a bit of a royal fact about this place. So on the right at the moment is our Life Among the Trees exhibit. Just behind the trees at the moment is our Siamang gibbon, the loudest primate in the world, and definitely the loudest animal at the zoo. If you hear them, you will know about it. They do like to go around outside on their ropes and things, but if you haven't seen them, this tiny tucked away path on the right is the walkway to their indoor viewing area, so do give them a look. Also around there, there's some other highlights of the Asian shield-clawed otters, the smallest of the world's 13 species of otters. And then up that path to the right now is our Life Among the Trees walkthrough, where you can find all the rest of our primates. That's definitely worth a look if you haven't been there yet. So as you've probably noticed, the weather today is a lot better than it has been for the last couple of days. That is why there's a lot more people than I would have expected around the zoo. They all like a good wave for the train. So if you do see people waving, do give them a wave back. You will feel... Oh, sorry, someone just pressed the emergency stop button for a reason. Or if you press the button, could you give me a wave? Just so I can see if that was on purpose or not. Okay, give me a moment, I'm just going to stop the train. I'll give you some more information on that later on in the tour. But for now, I'll draw your attention to the left side, which is where you'll find our snow leopard. She has a few spots that she likes to stand, so I will try and spot her as we go. Oh, I can see her. This family is currently looking at her. She's on top of a log. I think she's chewing a bit of meat or something, so have a look right above that family we're passing now.
Sit down. Yeah. You just looked up.
Oh yeah, that's it.
So our snow leopard is called Arena. She's an old girl, she's 19 years old. She hasn't been company for about a year or so, but that is going to change. And that is going to be in our brand new snow leopard enclosure. This big old thing on the left here, 3 times as big as the old enclosure. Too big for one snow leopard, So we are getting not one, but two new individuals. There will be a young breeding pair to try and get us back to our status as a snow leopard breeding place. So since 1977, the zoo has had 12 successful litters of snow leopards born here. There's been a bit of a gap due to Arena getting into her sort of older years. But when this enclosure is finished, we're hoping in early 2025 to have some brand new cute and cuddly snow leopards. So definitely mark that date on your calendars. Some little green men there, but they're not from Mars. That's our maintenance team, so give them a wave. So as I mentioned at the Banteng, some animals it's always breeding time, and that is not true of anything more than our Sitatungas, which are on the right. You can see one of them lying just there in the dirt, but the rest of them on the grass. I'll talk a bit more about them a bit later on in this bit of talking. The Sitatunga are from the wetlands of Africa, which might sound contradictory, but the tropical places of Africa are just as wet as anywhere else on the planet. You'll find them mostly wading right up to their eyeballs in water, but when they're walking across wetlands, they have hooves that are shaped like bananas, which stop them from sinking into any mud. Some of you may have spotted our runaway rhino there, breaking into the shop. Do head inside to find his head poking through the other side. I promise this is not just a shameless plug for the shop, but any proceeds that go from the shop do go back straight into the zoo, helping us continue the work we do and getting us some new exciting animals for you to see. So do pop in there if you're walking past later and have some heavy pockets.
We haven't got it. No. Those penguins are so cute.
Quick.
All penguin species are from the southern hemisphere, but not all species of penguin are from icy habitats. One of those examples is our Humboldt penguins, which are on the left. So they live off the coast of Argentina and that sort of area. And rather than having in icy waters, they live in very deep areas of water.
Can't see them.
So despite their tiny size, in order to find food, they can dive up to 50 meters deep. That is the length of 5 double-decker buses end to end. So they're very good swimmers. You may have noticed we only have 4 at the moment. That is changing. So in 2 weeks' time, we have 10 more arriving, which I'm sure will give our birds keepers a bit of a challenge, as they got a bit used to having a smaller group. The 14 will definitely run them off their feet. So here on the right, we have the rest of our Sitatunga family. Most of them are under that one tree, but just on the right, a bit further, you can see our youngest one on its own. So like the Banteng, that one there with the horns, that's Mr. Tumnus. He is the daddy of all of the kids in there. The second youngest was born in the autumn, in I think August or September. That was just before I started. And the most recent Sitatunga was born on Christmas Day. She has not been given a name yet. My applications of Christmas, mistletoe, Mariah Carey were all turned down. Well, hopefully she'll be named soon. And I think Mr. Thomas is cuddling up to another female as we speak, so looks like there is no rest for him. So right now we have our are flamboyants of flamingos. That is the real collective term for a group of flamingos. We have our flamboyants of flamingos. There's 30 of them there. A mixture of boys and girls. They get their pink coloration from what they eat. So we have to give them a very special diet. Otherwise, they would lose all of their colour in as soon as a month. They would be completely white if they didn't get those special nutrients and pigments from what they eat. So we try and keep them as pink as possible. All the way on the right by that building, I can see the brown bottom of one of our tapirs having a lie in the mud. So we have two tapirs, Keto and Inti. The Keto the boy, Inti the girl. And we have two pygmy hippos, Oliver and Zalika. I've been told by the keepers the way to tell them apart. This does sound a bit mean, but in both of them, the boys are fatter than the girls. So if you see one that looks a bit more rotund than the other, that's how to tell them apart. So I can't see the Grevy's zebras, which I was going to use this as a segue to answer the question I asked you earlier, but I'll just put you out of your misery now. So are zebras black with white stripes, or white with black stripes? Well, if you were to shave a zebra all the way down to its skin, you would find that all the white would disappear, and the zebra is completely black under its stripes. Anything white you see is a second layer of hair that grows on top of their main black layer. As a result of this, sometimes their patterns can go wrong, and if you Google spotty zebra, you can get zebras that grow spots instead of stripes and look like reverse Dalmatians. Next up on the right is our scimitar horned oryx. You can see them all there. So they're our conservation success story. In 2011, they were sadly pronounced as extinct in the wild, but Marwell has been working on their conservation for well over 30 years, and I'm very pleased to say that as of last year, they are now officially unextinct. One of a few species ever to achieve this. They have now gone from 0 in the wild to 500 plus. Even a few of our ones born at the zoo have gone out there. So it just shows the power that conservation can have when everyone works together. Next up on the left is our giraffe house. I hope you've been in there to see them. Kind of like British people, they're very fair weather creatures. If it's at all raining, they don't like getting wet, and if they slip it's a long way down.
Yeah.
But they've been coming out today as the sun is out. We have one boy, his name is Mburu. He's the newest giraffe. Sorry, too many animals. Newest giraffe. We have three girls. Makeda is the biggest, Krista is the medium-sized one, and Ruby is the smallest. They do have other ways of telling apart. They have unique markings. For example, Makeda has a heart-shaped pattern on her left shoulder. But the easiest way is by their size. And Mburu, the boy, let's just say he has something that the girls don't, which I'm sure you know what I mean. When he arrived at the zoo, he was a very small 3.5 meters in height. I know, what a shorty, but he has now grown over all of the girls and is 5.5 meters tall. And I've been told by the keepers they expect him to get to 6.5 meters. So the giraffes are truly massive animals. A sharp call of their name. So, big tame rhinos. As you come around the final corner, we're coming back towards our Amur tigers. Hopefully you've all seen them. We have two tigers. We have Baggy the boy and Valentine the girl. They are the world's biggest cat, in well over 3.5 meters in length. When they stand on their tails, they can reach over 9 feet tall, which is very massive when you see them. They are on contraception, sadly. That doesn't stop them from enjoying each other's company, so you might see that occasionally. They've been doing it this week. They are not being fed today, unfortunately. Not a big feed anyway, as they were fed yesterday, and in the wild they would only really eat once a week or so. So we try and recreate this here at the zoo. So we're just shortly arriving back at Akapi station, where this train will be terminating. So I hope you enjoyed the ride. It's very nice not to be sat in the train getting soaked, so much more pleasant than yesterday. Please wait until the train's completely stopped before trying the doors, as I will release them with a button. Please take all of your belongings with you, and especially your children. Any children left on the train, let's just say the tigers do enjoy a snack every now and then, so I'm sure you want to be keeping them for now. So make sure they all go off.
think these are ones off that TV program. Oh.